Okay, shalom. I'd like to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakadash. Okay, and double honors to the apostles and the bishops and elders of Great Millstone that rule well, and peace and salutations to the hopeful elect of the children of Israel. Okay, people of Negro, Latino, Native American, and Seminole Indian descent. Okay, and Israelite foreigners as well who live around the four corners of the earth and living amongst those heathen nations. It may also resemble the heathen nations in looks, but they are Israelites through their father's side. All right, that's who these messages are for. That's who the trumpet is being blown for to listen. All right, again, peace and shalom. Now I'm pulling this up again, and I'll probably pull it up quite a few more times in the near future. Just it's like hammering in so people can understand, what's coming. And I have a video to show you that there's people that's studying these things, man, that and they have their eyes on evil things that are eventually going to come. All right, but there's reports that Israel is planning on attacking Americans on U.S. soil, and there's also reports that the U.S. government is also planning attacks on U.S. soil, which is called false flags attacks, because the whole ultimate goal is to blame the other nations. Other nations who they consider their enemies. And again, pay close attention to this, and I highly recommend you screen save it, or you take a screenshot, or look it up yourself. All right? And this has always been part of this devil's plan. This has always been part of his, his agenda. This is how he go about things. He creates as it says, order ab chaos. That's Latin. Okay? Order out of chaos, the order. The trick of creating chaos and then seizing power under the pretense of putting things back in order is a tried and true method of deception and manipulation. He's always done this. Through our elders and apostles, man, they've been warning mainly Jake, because that's who the Lord is speaking to, Jake's, man. Other Israelites, but the message is for those heathen nations as well, but this has always been how this devil has worked. Always been how this devil has worked. And this is Hegelian dialectic: control, opposition, problem, reaction, solution. Problem, reaction, solution. So this is nothing new. So the scripture says, be not ignorant. I'm trying to fight this migraine. Hold on, give me a second. The scripture says, and I get it so many times, and I can't remember the actual scripture where it is. But I think it's not Peter's. Give me a second here. The 2 Corinthians. Let me get this so I can jump and show you some of this information that's out here. Just a quick precept here. Give me a second here. It's like I'm a little. Here we go. Okay, 2 Corinthians 1:8. For we would not, brethren, have you ignorant of our trouble which came to us. Slocky, that's not what I want. It's 2:11. There we go. 2 Corinthians 2:11. Lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. Okay? And going into this word devices, again, a mental perception, thought, an evil purpose. That which thinks, the mind, thoughts, or purposes. Okay? Yeah, we living in some evil days, man. Evil days, a reason for which something is done or created, or for which something exists, have as one's intention or objective, his purpose. So let's stop the rambling and let's get straight to it. Let's get straight to it. And here's one here. Okay. And though they may be mentioning dates and times of these attacks, because I've noticed one thing, especially around 2012, teaching the word, and how all this information was going out, and how everyone thought it's 2012 the world's going to come to an end on all that madness, and pretty much nothing happened. A lot of people looked at that as an excuse to relate that to the actual prophecies in the Bible, in the gospel, and the work of the prophets, as if 2012 has anything. There's nothing in the scriptures that said anything was going to happen in 2012. And that come from some Mayan calendar or some, Issachar calendar, which a whole lot of the world was following after, a whole lot of the world was belief in. And when they ultimately seen that nothing happened, they pretty much put that in relation to biblical prophecies and the truth and the word of the Lord. So this video here I have is information that they're saying that the U.S. is planning to attack its citizens. And let me let this video play and I'll come back. And again, just because something may not even happen on the 4th of July this year, this thing is coming regardless. These attacks, these major attacks on this here in Babylon. So let me let this video play. I'm gonna let some of it play. Let me get straight to it. This isn't it right here. This isn't it. Let me get straight to it. Here you go. Listen carefully to this. And I got this actually, not this exact video, but the guy's name, from a brother that's in Pennsylvania. He's a GMS affiliate, and the brother puts up some very edifying videos, man. And it's like I cannot remember his name. They're similar to mine. Mine is Zachariah. Okay, and his is similar to mine. It's like a brother I can't remember, but again, try and follow the brother on TikTok, and you probably already know who he is anyway. But he's up in somewhere up in Pennsylvania, not Pittsburgh, but further east in Pennsylvania. And he puts up a lot of very good videos and a lot of good information, and he appears to me to be a man of the Lord, man. But listen to this guy speak, and I'll come back with some more precepts and whatever. Dr. David Martin. That's his name. Okay.
Kind of let us know the audacity of the thinking, if you want to call it thinking. I would call it conspiring, because it is actually, once again, using a legal definition, it's conspiring to commit acts of terror.
And that's exactly what they're doing. Conspiring. So I should have just let it play. You know what? I'll do it. Let me let it play.
And people in positions of authority are now absolutely convinced that they can, with reckless abandon, imagine a world where you kill 200 and what's our total here? Our total on July 4th, 2025, 280,000 Americans dead during July 4th celebrations. I don't know what level of insanity we have sunk to when we think that it's okay for somebody to just kind of play around with, oh, let's just say 250,000 people just get murdered on a day. And remember, this is without attribution. This is from the same people who sat in the UN and in Congress and lied to us about weapons of mass destruction. These are the same people who lied to us about, we don't know where anthrax came from, despite the fact that in May of 2001, the Army had purchased 300 million doses of the drug for anthrax poisoning, which had...
Whereas this should have been an uproar against this tyranny a long time ago. You know, the people should have rose up against these wicked evildoers a long time ago. You know, and because of their foolishness, their ignorance and their wickedness, they're going to pay for it. You know, with that foolish, wicked ass attitude, going along to get along. As long as they can continue to drive around in their overpriced, junky F-150s and their oil leaking Harley Davidsons, you know, and as long as they can continue to go make a few dollars more than the Israelites in the hood, everything was still fine. You know, everything was all good. You know, and hell, condemn those that are speaking up against evil, where it's always been a thing of the Israelites to speak up against evil, you know, and now that the Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai done raise up the prophets to speak against evil and to prophesy the downfall of this place, you know. Hey, you see how the word affecting the world? This is beautiful, man. You know, so they continue to ignore the problem as it continued to get worse and worse and worse. And you know what? Beautiful. Isaiah 47. Isaiah 47. I thought I had it. Isaiah 47. You know, while these devils were, and as the scripture says, never trust thine enemy, man. Never trust thine enemy. So it's the elect that are doing what we can to heal ourselves of ailments and not run to Esau in this wicked ass hospitals, man. You know? And while this devil is continuing to conspire, which conspire to mean to make secret plans, making secret plans jointly to commit an unlawful or harmful act. That's the meaning of conspire. The do mention the word conspire. But here we have Isaiah 47:8. Therefore hear now this, thou that art given to pleasures, that dwellest carelessly, that sayest in thy heart, I am, and none else beside me. I shall not sit as a widow, neither shall I know the loss of children. We are the greatest military in the world. You know, nobody, not even, I even heard some of them devils say, not even God can destroy their military. Okay. Okay. But these two things shall come to thee in a moment, in one day, the loss of children and widowhood. They shall come upon thee in their perfection for the multitude of thy sorceries and for the great abundance of thine enchantments. For thou hast trusted in wickedness This has always been the Babylonian way, man. It's always been the American way. To trust in wickedness. You know? Deny that the government can do any wrong. You know? They've always trusted in wickedness, oppression, and so on and so on. So now I love Obadiah 1 and 15, which it's just I love nail it in. Here, let me grab it. Yahweh Shem Yahushai, he's saving the best for last. You know? Obadiah 1 and 15, for the day of the Lord is near upon all the heathen, as thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee. Thy reward shall return upon thine own head. As thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee. Babylon has destroyed, it has destroyed nations, man. And what is that? Is it Joel 2? Joel 1? You know, he keepeth not at home. What is that? Habakkuk. Let's get back to this. For thou hast trusted in thy wickedness. Thou hast said, none seeth me. Thy wisdom and thy knowledge, it hath perverted thee. And thou hast said in thy heart, I am, and none else beside me. Okay. Therefore shall evil come upon thee. Thou shalt not know from whence it riseth. And mischief shall fall upon thee. Thou shalt not be able to put it off. And desolation shall come upon thee suddenly, which thou shalt not know. And here it is. It's been planned right here in your face. Your own beloved government. Hold on, give me a second here. Turn this shit off. Okay. Oh. Okay, so let me get back to this video here. Come on.
Never, ever, ever, ever occurred anywhere in human history. So why would we need 300 million doses, a dose for every American, for a drug that had never been used in the history of humanity? Why would we need that? And the answer is we were going to get the PrEP Act come hell or high water. And the PrEP Act was going to give manufacturers of pharmaceuticals absolute immunity for anything they declared as a medical countermeasure. You know, Shannon, I point out to a bunch of people, and once again, some of the medical freedom movement make me sick because they
go into too much. Him talking about all this medical this.
What's our total here?
I'm not trying to get out there and put out as if I'm trying to put out some medical information or whatever, because I'm not. This is all solely on the works of the devil, man, and his deceitful works, you know, in darkness, you know, and as the scripture says, here, let me grab it. As the scripture says, you know, because it's in the power of his hand. It's in the power of his hand. I thought I had it. Micah. The kids at Micah. What? Micah 2 and 1. What sorrow awaits you who lie awake at night, thinking up evil plans. You rise up at dawn and hurry to carry them out, simply because you have the power to do so. And that's exactly what's going down. And again, it's the whole point of the video is just to warn you that the Edomites have an evil plot, man, an evil plan. And the whole ultimate of their plan is to bring in their new world order. And we're going to continue to say this, and we sound like a broken record on repeat, you know. But again, that's the whole point. And, you know, let me say this. That's why the punishment and destruction is going to be as great as it is. Because you chose the 2/3 chose to ignore the warning. That's what they chose to ignore the warning, as if they're pretty much brushing off the true living power, Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, as if he's nothing, man. That's why their punishment and their destruction is going to be as great as it's going to be. You know? So again, not trying to put out no medical advice or information at all. You know? It's just we're out here to expose this devil and bring to light who the Bible speaks of as the devil, which is the so-called white man. He's the devil that the Bible speaks of. He's the master of disaster, as the scripture says, the son of perdition. And let's do this. Let's jump here. Israel here. Israel may stage false flag to force U.S. into Iran war. So whether it happens or kick starts on July 4th or not, these things is going to happen regardless. They're going to happen, and they're coming. And someone that was describing it as pressure, describing it as pressure, increasing more and more, like blowing up a balloon. That pressure is constantly increasing, and that's exactly what's going on in the world, and especially as prophecy is concerned. There's these Edomites that are worried about what's coming. They know they have to do it, but they worried about the consequences, and they trying to delay it as much as they can until they're ready. But there are those Edomites that wants to get busy now. The more and more that pressure is increasing, more and more it increasing, eventually it's going to burst. Pow! It's all going to explode. And that's the whole point of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, his prophecies and his destruction on this place. He's timing it to point where it's going to get, it's going to be at its maximum effect. Its maximum effect. So it says here, if its campaign against Iran falters, Israel may stage a false flag scenario similar to the USS Liberty operation to force the U.S. to engage directly in the Israeli war on Iran, expert warns. So this ain't no mystery, man. They've done this before. They're going to do it again. The U.S. is already insisting on the Israeli occupation with supplies, intel, and refueling support, according to former Pentagon analysis and retired Air Force Lieutenant Colonel Karen Kowalski. Speaking to Sputnik, Kowalski warned that if Trump resists direct involvement in Israel's war on Iran. Remember the video the other day, yesterday, Trump, your boy, saying that they don't know what the fuck they're doing. And they only using this guy to, he's the face of Babylon, who's foolish enough to be out in the open so the world can blame him, while their actual elites are behind all this But he's the fool that was set up to be the face of this destruction and this calamity to come. A false flag may be needed to force his hand out. Kowalski outlined several possible scenarios Israel could use to fabricate a justification for U.S. interference and attack on U.S. assets in the region blamed on Iran or its allies, such as the Yemen armed forces, a domestic terror attack, or assassination attributed to Iran. An Iranian air, and a lot of these patriots are stupid enough to fall for it too. So when all this kick starts, man, just imagine the confusion, the havoc, in Babylon that's going to be taking place. So again, you go back to their plan. The order out of Kale, declaring martial law, setting up detainment centers, and setting up what they call they use them for drunk driving, sobriety checkpoints, but they're going to set up checkpoints everywhere. This is coming. An Iranian air defense strike accidentally hitting a civilian jetliner carrying Americans The use of dirty bombs or radioactive contamination staged to implicate Iran. Nuclear blackmail threatening to strike Iran with nukes if the U.S. Refuses to join the fight. So what Amalek is going to do, he's going to leave Babylon pretty much no choice. That's how it's going to go down. They're going to pretty much leave them no choice. Where really, in all reality, America's always going to give Israel some form of some type of support, but who knows how far. But Israel's, as the scripture says, the least of the flock shall draw them out. The least of the flock. Slack it. Oh, that's Jeremiah 49:20, Jeremiah 50:45. Okay, therefore hear the counsel of the Lord Yahweh, that he hath taken against Edom, the so-called white man, and his purposes. Remember, the word purposes is his intentions, that he hath purposed against the inhabitants of Teman, and that's inhabitants of Teman, if I'm correct, Teman Germans, if I'm correct, could be wrong. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them. So he's using Amalek, Edom, to draw them out. Therefore hear ye the counsel of the Lord, that he had taken against Babylon, and his purposes that he had purposed against the land of the Chaldeans, America. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them. There you go. So this is the least of the flock, Israel. So let's any more of this video here.
Our total women into the armed forces, only to line them up to put them into breast cancer vaccination clinical trials. See, why are you having this response? You're having this response because the medical freedom movement has failed to get the real issue. This has never been about COVID. It has been about biological weapons perpetrated by the United States on the United States for the purpose of suppression of liberty. That's what it is. And we still don't have the right conversation. Right. So when you hear, are you ready for this? After we have this terror attack, July 4th of 2025, who's going to be responsible for the response? Are you ready? Because this is who you'd expect. Over the next 3 weeks, the joint inquiry will hear from the Secretary of State. You definitely lead off with Secretary of State when it comes to a health situation. Next, the Secretary of Defense, because clearly we need the Defense Department to cover the fact that they did it again. The Attorney General and the Director of National Intelligence. Those are the first 4 agencies to respond to this hypothetical attack. Now,
See why it's important to be circumspect, as the scripture says? Come on. Ephesians 5. Ephesians 5. Okay, it says here, Ephesians 5:14, wherefore he saith, awake thou that sleepest, and arise from the dead, and Yahushua shall give thee light. See then that ye walk circumspectly. And you know what? And as it says, and Yahushua shall give thee light. You know, the truth. You know, because if you don't have the truth, man, you're pretty much going to be walking out there blind, man. You're going to you're going to respond and deal with what's going to happen as a blind fool does. And we've been stressing that for years, man. You know, we've been stressing that for years. So it says, see then that ye walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time, because the days are evil. I mean, these ain't no happy times. You know, this ain't happy days, man, with the Fonz and Opie. This ain't happy days. That song Happy Days it just popped in my head too. The song Happy Days. Hold on. And that's the spirit Jake is in, man. That's the spirit Jake is in. Happy Days. They're going to learn. They're going to learn. Give me a second here. Hold on. Give me a second. I'm trying to find it here. I'm going to pull it up on YouTube. Here we go. This the spirit Jake is in. Oh, happy days. That's crazy, man. That is crazy. And that's literally the spirit they're in. And what's that? They're straight up ignoring, what's that, Ecclesiastes 3? I can't wait to see these wicked hoes and these niggas catch hell, man. I can't wait to see it. And Lord willing, if I was to receive power, man, hey, I'm going straight to slaughtering Jakes, man. Save Esau for last. You know? So Ecclesiastes 3 here. To everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven. You can't make these things up on your own. You can't, it's not your choice to a time to be born and a time to die. It's not your choice. A time to plant and a time to pluck up, which is planted. A time to kill and a time to heal. A time to break down and a time to build up. A time to weep and a time to laugh. A time to mourn and a time to dance. A time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones together. A time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. A time to get and a time to lose. A time to keep and a time to cast away. A time to rend and a time to sow. A time to keep silent and a time to speak. A time to love and a time to hate. A time of war and a time of peace. You know, this isn't up to you. You know, it ain't what your heart desires and your heart's and your wants. You know, you have to deal with what's going on in this world with wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. You know, in order to know how to act and know how to survive, and to know how to, pretty much how to make your next move, man. Because as the scripture says, which we stress a lot, wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times. And I thought I had a preset with that. Hold on. You know, they in the mind of Jake, you know, they can choose who their prophets can be. In the mind of Jake, how Jake thinks, man, they think that they can, you know, they can pick and choose who the man of the Lord is and who the voice of the Lord comes through. Wrong. And that's where they made their a grave mistake, man. And I do have a precept written in there. And wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times and strength of salvation. The fear of the Lord is his treasure. And that's what they lack. They lack the fear of the Lord. I don't know, this video went in a whole different direction, but it's all linked, that again, the scripture says that I send you to the children of Israel and give them warning from me. And they're literally ignoring these warnings, man. If they only knew how the actual spirit of the true and only living power, Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai, is actually dealing with men to give them great information, that these brothers put together amazing videos and coming out with great, amazing information, that they scoff at it and they ignore it as if it's nothing. That's what kills it. That's what amazes me, man. Proverbs 3:19. Let's see what that is. Proverbs 3:19. The Lord, Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai, by wisdom hath founded the earth. By understanding hath he established the heavens. By his knowledge the depths are broken up, and the clouds drop down the dew. My son, let not them depart from thy eyes. Keep sound wisdom and discretion. I don't know what happened there. Keep sound wisdom and discretion. So shall they be life unto thy soul. So shall they be life unto thy soul, and grace to thy neck. Then shalt thou walk in thy way safely, and thy foot shall not stumble. When thou liest down, thou shalt not be afraid. That's because you built your faith. You built up your faith through the fear of Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai. Yea, thou shalt lie down, and thy sleep shall be sweet. Be not afraid of sudden fear. And that's what the video was speaking on. That's a sudden fear, meaning false flag attacks. Neither of the desolation of the wicked when it cometh. Because we understand what's going down, man. We understand what's going down. We understand the whole purpose of it all. We understand the end game. For the Lord shall be thy confidence, and shall keep thy foot from being taken. So while everyone's out there enjoying the hot weather, swimming, and vacationing and partying, while all hell is going on around them, literally all hell is going on around them, people's spirits are aroused in a manner of, in a demonic ass way, man. As the scripture says in Matthew, the love of many shall wax cold. And you go into that word cold, which the Greek word there is psycho, or here, let me get it. It gives you a clear explanation on what's going on. And we see it happening. People have lost their damn minds, man. And that's just the spirit of Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai. Again, he's balanced. He's good and evil. And as the more and more he began to visit the world which he made, the more and more those spirits are going to increase more and more and more. It's just going to continue to multiply, man. So these people that are already evil were always already wicked and evil anyway, but they were being restrained from laws, Esau laws, and the fear of being locked up. But now it's like the spirit they're being overwhelmed by that spirit, man. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. And then it shall wax cold. Psycho. Here you go, psycho. That's the spirit. And these evil Edomites, again, who was restrained by, the laws, or restraint just by Esau not ready to make his move. These devils is ready to make their moves, man. These devils literally are ready to make their move. And these evil people are able to be, they're able to act out their hearts. Because as the scripture says, this devil knoweth that he have but a short time. These people are about to go psycho. Just wait. So I'm gonna close here. I didn't want to make this too long and continue on, but take heed to the warning, man. Take heed to the warning. Do I have any more precepts? This is 2 Corinthians 2 that I gave you already. If you're Micah, Isaiah, and there was another precept that I have on it, but that should be about it. So again, I hope you're edified. Stay alert, man. Again, as the scripture read in Ephesians, remain circumspect. Once the days are evil. Shalom.